the auto mix inspired Michael Ball. It's the first time he's ever raised his hands on a yes. So that's pretty impressive.
Scare that referee. Let's talk a little football. Hey, welcome everybody to the press box. So glad you're with us. We got almost our usual cast of colorful characters here. Randy Young, Jim Rayburn.
We excommunicated him
Michael
for
Best.
today.
It's almost like he's in memory of.
Well, he put in the wrong GPS coordinates to get here. You know, kind of like
went to Colquitt. He went to
Colquitt, kind of like the Cedar Grove fan bus, and so he's not here. But ladies, calm down. He will be here next week. So
okay, well, that's good.
Anyway, so let's talk a little football. Let's talk. We mentioned the Cedar Grove. Colquitt County beat Cedar Grove 50-42 in a fascinating game. I mean, Colquitt's up 29-0 and just cruising and didn't really do anything in the third quarter. But a fun game. Obviously, that was an ESPN game. And
Jim watched it, didn't you?
You had to kind of take. What's your take on that game?
You had to figure that Cedar Grove was going to make a run at them because of all the athletes, their quarterback, their receivers, their running back. They're just full of athletes. They're a AAA school. AAA
with 4 losses, but they're still ranked number 1.
Ranked number 1 in the
because
state.
of their schedule, it's ridiculous.
They don't get to play home.
Yeah,
that's why they get lost going around the state.
I would too.
But they have no home field, so if you want to play them, they'll come.
Yep.
Yeah,
doesn't matter who you are.
And they didn't really. The interesting thing, what I could tell, really no panic by them down 29-0. They were just playing their game.
Their coach was calm and cool on the sideline, and they started making some plays, and I think it stunned the Packers a little while before they.
Sounds like Colquitt may have gone into cruise control a little bit early too.
Kudos to Colquitt for not. I mean, that game comes within 2 scores, maybe even 1 score.
One score. They scored
really.
one in that 2-point conversion.
So they don't panic there, which I think is big for your program, and just learning how to finish games. I think really the credit may just go to Cedar Grove. That's just a good team. And
going into that environment,
yeah,
being down 29-0, then 36-7, and that was late in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you start getting these scoring updates, and you're like, wait a minute, that can't be right.
Yeah.
I mean, to their credit, they never laid down.
The Saints never laid down. They came back marching in.
That's it. Well, they knew they had athletes, and that's the thing about it. When you got guys, they're going to make plays eventually, and especially if the other team goes, okay, well, we're good.
I don't know his name, but they have a sophomore wide receiver that will be
highly coveted.
Cedar Grove?
Yeah. And number 1, the quarterback, I think they said UCF or something like that, but I was really impressed with him. I mean, he very much good at scrambling, just chunking the ball around. But I thought Colquitt had a good game plan, and they're going to be playing Lincoln. I'm glad that they play these showcase type games, and that puts them ready for the playoffs. And they got Lincoln coming in town. So.
Now, is Lincoln kind of the flavor of the month in Tallahassee now, or what school? Because you know how that is.
I don't keep up with it.
Yeah, I don't either. But it's 1 year it's Leon, then it's Godby, then it's Childs, then it's Rickards, then it's Lincoln, and I mean you just don't ever know.
Yeah.
But Lincoln, the last handful of years, has been the hot team down there. So
they usually have a bunch of athletes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep track of that one. Also, Thomas County Central, speaking of Tallahassee schools, beat Godby 55-19, and you just take care of business, right? I mean, they, really just cruise and do a good job, I think, of being focused. The scores by Godby were kind of, not really ones that you're that worried about, not really a focus issue there. So your take on the Godby game, right?
Well, yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, it was just a solid win. It was 48-6 at the half. I mean, we had a running clock in the third and fourth quarters, and the starters never stepped on the field in the third and fourth quarter. And as you mentioned, I mean, there's 6 points in the first half come off a interception that bounces off one of our receivers, a perfectly thrown ball. And how many times you see this, it bounces off of him, goes about 10 feet in the air, and a linebacker just turns around and it falls right in his lap, and there's nothing in front of him. That's Jalen's first interception of the year, as it turns out. And then to start the second half, Coach Rogers, we were talking to him, Jamie Maters got to interview him, and he said, well, now this might get squirrely. We're going to take all the starters out, and all the babies will be on the field. Opening kickoff of that third quarter, 90 yards, touchdown. So it got squirrely real quick.
Yeah.
They did have one drive late against the backups, but again, a solid win. Jalen had another good night. Brenton had another good night. Malachi has another big tight end night for us, and it's an impressive win. And now we get to start region play. go up to veterans and get to play them in Perry, which
want
will
to-
be interesting.
Yeah, there's no state fair though, right? So
There's no state fair, not
none of
yet.
that distraction there in Perry.
Not yet.
Tell me about this veterans team.
They throw the football. They have the most passing yards of anybody in our region. In fact, I was looking at the offensive statistics earlier. They've got right at 1,400 yards in the air, about 300 or so on the ground, so they want to throw it. And I think that's a good challenge for our guys because we're going to see some teams maybe down the line that wing it like this. So you need to be tested a little bit, and I think this will be a good opportunity for us to see how those secondary guys have grown. And also, too, whether those defensive linemen that have been so good so far can still continue to wreak havoc against a team that's designed to protect the quarterback because you got a couple down the line, especially that kid at Houston County that's going to be real tough as far as all that's concerned.
On the defensive line, too, it's not just about getting a sack. Sometimes you just want to collapse the pocket.
Disrupt.
And disrupt. I mean, it's a little bit more, sometimes if you just send a guy firing in, well, if he overshoots it, he's useless.
Yep.
So some quarterbacks, you have different strategies for doing that. So I think it'll be good for that defensive line to
Agree.
do that as well. So.
Well, it's a team that hangs their hat on their offense. They want to outscore you. Their defense is not particularly impressive. There may be a lot of points scored in this thing. We'll see. Just good to be hidden in that home stretch now and get through the gauntlet there at the beginning of the season unscathed.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Also heading to the home stretch, you got Cairo with they
Took care of
business. I was going to say, a disappointing win because they didn't score 65 this time. They only scored 55. But they beat Salem, and you like that. I think you come out and you play well. You have a running clock, all those kind of things for Cairo.
That was homecoming, so they wanted to be able to take care of their business.
They took care of business early.
That's right. Now
it was 55-0 at the half. Okay, let's be honest.
And then Michael
here.
Best was quarterback. That was his honor for his 503rd or 4th game.
And they told him not to do anything.
told him to
Don't
take
hit
a
him.
knee. Take a knee.
Take a knee. Honorary.
they didn't
honorary.
score when he was at quarterback.
No,
You just have to say
but
that.
I wrote some stats down worth mentioning. They had 324 yards at the half. They had scored on 7 possessions of 4 plays or less, and 3 of those were one-play drives.
Yeah.
So Cairo pretty well had their way with Salem.
The only thing about playing an opponent like that, it really doesn't help you and get you ready for your.
Yeah.
And they start region this week with Shaw, but that's a Columbus school that's not very good right now.
Well, and it sounds like in their region is a 2-horse race.
Right, it's Bainbridge and
Cairo.
Cairo.
Yep.
But you got to get better, right? I mean, I think.
Well, and you got to take care of your business
you
too.
take
now.
care of your business and do better. Even, some of these Columbus schools have been known to have weird games. Cairo's had their share of kind of strange games against these schools.
Yep.
So going up there, taking care of business, or no, they got
They get
Shaw
Shaw
at home.
at home.
But taking care of business at home is a big deal. And that Bainbridge game looms, which I'm excited
Shaw
about.
used to be the team
Oh yeah.
in Columbus when Flowers was their coach.
Yep.
Now it's Carver.
Yeah, they contended. Now is Carver still probably the top competition for you guys in y'all's region?
Carver and Doherty,
Doherty?
depending on Cameron Davis, whether he's healthy or not.
What's the deal there? Do you know?
Nobody knows.
Interesting.
I know his Florida State commit there is nobody knows it.
Got banged
Nobody's
up a
not
couple
playing,
weeks
yeah.
ago, and they really struggled. in
They've
the
struggled
games that they
since he
played.
went down.
Yeah.
And there was something going on in that school system also to change coach right before the
You're right.
season started. And
Goodness,
so you don't know what kind of
There's
turmoil
never-
they're
yeah.
going through.
Yeah.
that's never a good sign there.
No.
Let's go on to Thomasville. You got an open week, and I think you got.
That was our
Obviously.
first easy opponent of the
That's
year.
right. You
That's
finally
first,
got it.
we were actually bigger than they were.
That's right. You finally got an easy opponent.
Right, and we took
And,
care. We took care of it by a water slide. We went to Disney World for a couple of days, and just had an overall nice week. We ran some county fair and stuff like that.
There you go. It did. The water slide part is true.
Right.
So, and also, I think that's great. Get your mind off the game for a little bit. It's a grind for these high school young men to show up and put in the amount of work that they do physically and mentally. So I like it.
And you look at our schedule. Brooks is down, but Brooks always plays Thomasville hard. Then we have Central. Then we have Cairo. Then we have Bainbridge. And then we play Tipton. Even though we handled Tipton, they're a bigger school than us, and they had some athletes, and they scared us for a little while, but we made some big plays and won that ball game. But our kids have been through the gauntlet for 5 weeks, so They needed a week off, and now we get Monroe at home for homecoming, first region game of the year.
That's right. Now tell me, we'll talk a little bit about Monroe, but tell me about this team and what do you want the Dogs to have worked on, got better to win region? What do we got to do better at to
Offensive line's got to get better opening the holes because we have been unable to sustain a running game, and so that puts it all on Cam Hill
Passing
throwing and getting people open, and so we got hopefully the 2 weeks without a game. We got some things ironed out, maybe, but I don't know if they made any changes. A couple of weeks ago, we started a freshman, and he played the Tifton game too. So I don't know if there's any more freshmen to bring up.
What position is he playing? Freshman.
Guard.
He's playing
Lineman.
guard.
Left guard.
Lineman. Yeah, and also you're seeing the RPO windows get tighter and tighter if you can't run it.
Right,
so.
right. Well, that takes the RPO out of it. Then you
Yeah.
just got to drop back and pass. The only way we had any running yardage is out of the Wildcat with Jay or with Levante. But offensive line's got to get better. Defense has gotten tremendously better since the Central ball game. They played real well against Tifton, and so even better than they played against Cairo. So defense is getting better because we lost 9 starters over that. But offensive line is a big question mark. How much can they improve? That's how far we'll go.
And you've got Monroe coming in for homecoming, so just real quick preview.
That's
on
why
that
I'm mad at Cairo, because Cairo let Monroe get some confidence in the second half,
Here we
and
go.
they have been playing well since that.
Yeah,
They missed one game because of
they had
a
hurricane.
they had call in of violence at
yeah.
Randolph Clay, so they didn't get to play that game. But ever since they lost to Cairo, they've won. So
Jim's just looking for a reason to be mad at K-Row.
Yeah.
it don't take much. But they did give them some confidence, and that's what Monroe teams don't have. If you give them if they make a few plays and get going,
Yep.
Yeah.
you can have problems.
All right, a couple other scores to talk about. Pelham falls to Blakely, 43-21. Lanier County is coming into town against the Hornets, and Mitchell County.
Lanier's having they made the playoffs the first time last year, and I think they're undefeated coming into Pelham.
Yeah, they've been one of those like on the rise a little bit.
Right.
I know Brookwood's played them a couple of years ago and had some good games against them as well. But Mitchell County got beat by Early 34-8, and then they have Terrell coming into town to start region play. Brookwood's going to.
Early's pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say no.
Early's not as good as they were last year. They've struggled a little bit.
Yeah,
Are they still ranked, though, I think?
Well, they may be.
But they're still not as good as they were
They're
last
not as good as they were last year.
but still maybe the cream of the crop in that region right there. So,
right.
Also, Brookwood got beat by John Millage, 62-28. They have open week, and that makes 55 straight games for John Millage. Open week comes at a really good time for the Warriors. Got a couple of guys injured, so and then they go on the road to play Deerfield. So a lot of road games. This will be one more road game.
Golly, where is John Millage? Where is that?
John Millage is in Milledgeville.
Milledgeville.
So
Okay.
that was a long haul.
haul.
up there.
Long
So-
ride.
But we got a short ride to yes, no, a short ride to College Edition of the Press Box coming right up.
Cool.
And welcome back to the Press Box. I'm so glad you're sticking with us. And again, we had a short segment because Michael Best wasn't here, guys. So
The mouth of the South.
all right, we're gonna.
He complains about how much I talk, but seriously,
know.
I mean, if we only got like 13 minutes without him, that should tell you something.
That should tell you
Golly.
something. So anyway, this is us trying to defend your honor, Michael.
Yes.
Let's talk Georgia though. Georgia got an Auburn rivalry game. Georgia has looked good, not great, but I get it. You're
Good
not-
enough.
Yep, you're not going to reveal everything. You're going to kind of stay vanilla if you're not playing great teams.
Do what you got to do to win the ball.
That's
right.
it.
That's right. You think Auburn's going to make this a close game? I'm going to start with a non. I'm going to start with a non-Georgia guy.
I'm an SEC guy right now.
Because you got
We're
Texas coming.
coming into SEC.
So,
I got to
yeah,
get
oh
a little
my
bit.
gosh.
I got to get a little bit.
I'm going to have 3 SEC zombies
He's got
on
to get,
this.
but he'll be on the total other side of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be
looking
on
from
the
a totally different angle.
other side of it.
Y'all pray for me.
I don't know what Auburn's problem is. That's a great football program, and it's a shame to see them down. And but I didn't know that they're playing in Jordan Hare,
Weird things happen.
and
there.
there'll be
things
a
happen.
crowd of crazy Auburn fans with those
Pom-poms.
pom poms that you can hear when they're shaking them, because I've been over there when they played FSU. I went over there to see William Andrews play twice, and so, it's
a great fan base.
It's a great fan base. They're very, very avid, but it won't be a great day for Auburn, I don't think. I don't think they can play with Georgia.
I don't think their offense is really going to give y'all a hard time. I don't think the game's going to be close. But you being a paranoid Georgia fan, give me the reasons why this game is.
Wait a minute.
No, that's Michael. That's
That's
the
more
paranoid.
Michael. It's more Michael.
I'm not
Why
paranoid.
don't you take Michael's place and tell us why this Auburn game is going to be close?
Well, first off, it is an SEC opener for both
Yeah.
teams. Well, actually, no, it's not. This will be Georgia's first road game. They played South Carolina there in
That's
Athens.
True.
And did not look very good now.
That's
let's
true.
be honest.
That was
The first half was a
24-14,
struggle.
But Auburn doesn't have Rattler.
No,
That's true.
and Rattler's playing really, really good
Right,
this year.
right.
He's playing well.
By the way, I think they may sneaky get Tennessee this week. But anyway, go
That's
ahead.
possible.
Go ahead.
Well, the good news for Georgia, Ladd McConkey's supposed to be back, who has not played this year, and he has been by far the best receiver that Georgia's had for the last couple of years. They're going to get Mikael Williams back, who's their best defensive player, 22, Javon Bullard, who has been out for the last 3 games because of a twisted ankle. He'll be back. So hopefully the roster that has been depleted, they had 16 guys out last week, and about 7 of them were starters. So getting those guys back hopefully will help. Carson Beck's been solid.
Yeah.
I've been impressed with him. He's looked good. The biggest issue with Georgia, it's like Jim was saying a little earlier about Thomasville, you got to have a running game to take the pressure off the quarterback. You just can't say, okay, quarterback, it's all on you.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. Until Georgia's offensive line, which they did in the second half against South Carolina, and they did for the majority of the game against UAB, until that offensive line starts developing that consistent running game, then Georgia's going to struggle.
Yeah.
But once that happens and the pressure's off Beck and they can just kind of, he can not have it all on his shoulders, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
But this one will be tough for a while, but I agree. I think Georgia will probably pull away in the second half.
Because Auburn's defense is pretty good.
They are.
And
They are.
Of course,
And they're at home.
And they know the same thing of, hey, let's stop the run. I mean,
That's
you
it.
know, a lot of fans get frustrated about running the ball. Well, I mean, if they got a bunch of guys in the box
That's it.
and they're daring you to throw,
If you got 8 guys within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage and you can't
Yeah.
run the ball or you can't throw the ball or vice versa, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to do something to loosen that up. Anyway, hopefully it'll be okay. But
Yeah.
They'll be okay.
Big game. Big game.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. You know, Auburn, I still don't know if they've got a quarterback that they really
Yeah,
like. Now,
yeah.
this is a Hugh Freeze special. He has been known to kind of Hugh Freeze's teams play up and down, and they do get up and play very well for in big games. I just don't think they have the quarterback to pull it off.
The whole state of Alabama is having some quarterback issues.
Yeah,
it sounds like.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird that way. Let's talk about FSU. I don't really think they're not having a quarterback issue, but they are having a run game issue. They are open. They had a great win against Clemson. I think, you know, hat tip to Clemson. I think Clemson had a great game plan, both offensive, defensive side. And Clemson's got some great athletes, and you know, it was just a close game. I loved it.
They
I
took
loved
the
win.
run. They took the run game away
They
from.
very
when you
very
have-
much did.
Only had 20-something yards rushing in the fourth quarter. You know, Clemson had done a great job with that defensive front and the linebackers. But
Yeah.
Travis didn't have the best game.
Yeah.
But they did not throw to Coleman enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
They seemed to get stuck on Johnny Wilson, and then Coleman, of course, made one of the big catches in overtime.
In overtime.
But so you got, with somebody like Coleman, you got to keep throwing it to him because he's gonna make a play. But you know, great defensive play, knocking the ball loose, and then the same guy who hit the quarterback. Luckily, the defensive lineman didn't pick it up.
Yes. Yeah. I was.
Yeah,
The
that big
outside
old guy.
linebacker picked it
Yeah.
up and scored, or I don't know. They might not have won that ball game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then thank goodness for checkoffs, because in overtime, and you could see Dabo after the play when on third down and short, the quarterback checked to that pass play, and FSU they were stopping for a little bit of loss, and Dabo was on the field, run the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so thank God the quarterback read something and he thought that would work.
Yep.
Yeah, they shouldn't have given. It was a run pass
Right, it
check
was
kind of
right.
thing, and he should have just an experienced quarterback would have probably just handed
Well,
it
according
off.
to the Clemson folks, which I've got some friends of mine who
Are there any around here?
Well, there's
There
a
are.
few.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
few. They said that when he made the change and called that play,
Yeah.
they had the numbers when he called it. But the snap was delayed, and it gave FSU an opportunity to kind of adjust. And by the time they ran the play. FSU had kind
Yeah.
of changed the numbers around and took care of it. That was a huge play.
That was a
And of
big
course,
play.
the missed field goal, too.
Yeah.
That was big.
But one thing I don't, the only really coaching thing I think on Dabo's end is for college players, like, don't play for the kick.
Yeah.
I know that it was a pretty short kick, but I mean, if you can get a few more yards, get a few
That
more
happens
yards.
in the pros too.
Yeah, it happens in the pros, too.
Because Green Bay won and
Yeah.
when the New Orleans kicker took his helmet off, my grandson Eli is 12. He took his helmet off. I said, Eli, you look as old as he does. And I know he choked because of that crack. And that's what happens to a kicker.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just a little
Yeah, it's
off and they
tough.
push that
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah, it's tough on a kicker. In the game, you have a lot of time to think of it.
Well, you talk about the audible play that the quarterback for Clemson made. Again, if Dabo has control, he tells him, you're not checking off here.
Right.
Yeah,
We're
that's right.
running the ball. That's what we're doing. But again, that option was there for him. He saw something and decided to roll
He's
the
been
dice
coached
on
to
it.
read that.
There you,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's very good for FSU to win not having your best fastball. Like a pitcher doesn't have their best fastball. Again, Jordan Travis not running really hinders that offense.
They needed this open week
Yeah, they really
Yeah,
do
big
need
time.
this
for
over with.
his health.
Yeah, and then again that safety Akeem Dent, center
Yep.
Maurice Smith.
Yep.
Those guys need to heal up. I don't know if I'd play Maurice Smith this month. You've got some teams maybe that you can
Let 'em
handle.
rest.
So let them
Yeah.
rest, and we got to figure out the run game. So.
Yep.
All right, one thing we don't have to figure out is yes, no.
All
So
right.
here we go. No Michael for this one, but anyway, first one's going to be Ohio State.
You don't
Ohio
have
State
any
guy.
Big 12 questions because Michael's a Big 12.
That's true. I hate it.
Is it the Big 12? Or?
It is. Well, I don't know what it is anymore.
Texas
It
is
was
still
our-
in the Big 12.
It was Michael was our Big 12
I know it's the
expert.
Pac-2 now.
Yeah,
I
now.
mean, that's all that's
And
left.
try explaining this to somebody who does. So there's 16 teams, and
Well, heck, I keep up with it, and I can't keep up with
Yeah.
it.
Well, they
Just
still
saying.
call the Big Ten,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
way more than
way
that.
more than 10. Like, explain that to a person who doesn't know anything about football.
Yeah,
Anyway.
good luck. Good luck.
All right, so this first one, Ohio State has a big win over Notre Dame there at the end. So here we go, Jim. Ohio State loves Lou Holtz.
I don't think Coach Day loves Lou Holtz. And I saw he was getting a little flack for what he said, but Lou Holtz said what he said, so he set it up. And,
That's what I'm saying.
And Ohio State fans have that feeling that everybody's against us.
Yeah,
and that's the chip that Day has on his shoulder because you can't win the big one. Well, if Marvin Harrison doesn't go out in the semifinal game, we might have beat. We were up 16, 17 points at that time.
Just make a field goal.
Right,
Get it
right.
and you win it.
Yeah,
I
make
mean,
a
just
field
saying.
goal right
Right.
there. So
And
I think they love Ohio. I say yes. I think they love Lou Holtz. They
Coaches
need,
love anything they can use to motivate the guys.
they need that motivation. They've been so good for so long. They needed that.
Yep.
What you think? Maybe? Am I convinced you? Or
You
saying
ain't
no?
convinced me.
All right.
I don't think so.
I'm going to say, yeah. Look at what Deion's doing. He's taking these little teeny
Yeah.
nuggets and blowing them into a full-fledged
Oh,
mess to try to use to stir. I mean, it's kind of like
Yeah.
the Kirby saying that we're going to go 7-5
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You know, again, if you've got something that you can use to put a burr under their saddle, you use it.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Michael Jordan was famous for that.
Ooh,
He'd take just the one
littlest
littlest
thing.
slight and just
Yeah.
turn it into
Yep.
something. So here we go, Randy. Florida should be favored over Kentucky. They are not favored. They should be favored
I
over
think
Kentucky.
they should be. I think they should be. Yeah.
I say yes.
Where's it at?
It's going to be there. It's going to be at
In
Kentucky.
the swamp? Oh,
No,
it's in
at Kentucky.
Is it Saturday night?
It is at noon.
Noon, yeah.
Florida should be.
Yeah,
Favored.
I'm not sure when it is. But anyway,
I think it's at noon.
maybe at noon. So, but you
Keep
think,
talking. I'm going to see if I can
All
find
right.
out.
So you think that
They should be favored.
All right, here we go. Let's skip down to another favorite subject for Jim right here. Michigan will regret its 9 warm-up games to start the year.
I don't know. Michigan's got that running back. They don't have to play anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Are they going to regret
No,
not
they're
playing
not go-
anybody for the
they-
first
They're
9
not going.
games?
They're not going to regret it because
They're
that
not?
keeps
Okay,
them
so-
healthy.
All right, I say they are. I say yes because they need somebody. They need a challenge, and they're really not going to have anything until they get November.
Right.
They've got 3 tough games in November, so they'll earn it. But they've got 3 tough games there.
It is a noon kickoff.
Noon kickoff.
It is a noon kickoff.
For Florida at Kentucky.
And now, what was the question here?
So
I'm
the
sorry.
question here is, Michigan's doing really well. Their first 9 games are terrible. So Michigan will regret It's 9 warm-up games to start the year.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, you better play some decent folks along the way because you're going to hit them eventually. I'd say,
You
yeah.
got Penn State and Ohio State.
Michigan's a senior-laden team, so
You think they'll be
They can
fine?
handle it?
they can handle it.
Okay.
I hope not, but they can handle it.
That's right. That's right. All right, here we go, Randy. Carson Beck will be better than Stetson Bennett.
No.
Say no?
No. Now, he is a better passer,
Yeah.
but he's not the complete player.
He's not the complete package.
And he doesn't quite have the little bit of moxie
Yeah.
that Stetson had.
That's-
There was just a built-in self-confidence there. Now, that may come.
Yeah.
That may come. I mean, again, he's only played in his 4th game as a starter.
Yeah.
But no.
You say no. Carson Beck will be better than Stetson Bennett.
No.
Say no. I say no, but I do like Carson Beck. I think he's going to be.
Yeah, he's done
I
well.
think
He's done well.
They can win a national title with that guy.
I can
which is
honestly
saying
say
something.
I haven't watched a down of Georgia football
Yeah. All right.
and don't plan to.
Well, you might need
Well,
to
you know,
now. I
you
mean,
got to scout the opponents
gonna
here.
say, maybe
I don't
Come
have
on,
to
Jimmy.
as long as Coach Day or Coach Sark
right,
is
there we go.
scouting them.
Okay.
All right. Here's another one, Randy. Clemson will continue to be a top program. They will continue to be a top program.
No.
You say no?
It's kind of like the situation, well, it's worse. I mean, Dabo has said he will not use the transfer portal. That's what he said. You can't do that. I mean, not in this day and age because you got guys stacking themselves with proven players at positions of need, and you're sitting there trying to figure out where you're going to piece the guys that you've recruited out of high school.
And I've heard
Until he changes that, it's not going to get
I've
any
heard
better.
he's thinking about changing.
He's
that,
gonna have
so,
to.
I don't know. Do you say Clemson's still on top? I say they will be because I think he's going to change.
If he changes, they'll be back on
Yeah.
top. But a lot depends on where FSU and Clemson wind up in the years ahead.
Yeah, they're going to have to out recruit Florida State more. There's going to be more of a competition.
Well, and
for
let's
that,
be
so-
honest now, Norvell's got that momentum built up.
Yep.
And Clemson's going the other direction. So, I mean, how do you catch that up? And head-to-head, they've already proven that FSU's the better team.
First time I can't remember when Clemson has lost their first two
first
games
two
in the
ACC.
ACC.
Yeah, I ain't even thought about that. Yeah.
It's been a while. I think that Jimbo.
But that's the problem.
Dabo.
It's Jimbo Dabo.
I think Dabo's going to right this ship, though. Man, those linebackers they have right now are just special.
Well, and
I mean,
he
they're-
may be told by the folks
Yeah.
that are the money, the purse holders there, you're going to have to change it.
By the way, if they had Keon Coleman, they win that game.
Yep.
By the way,
Yep.
so, and I love my Knowles, and Knowles played really hard that game, really smart.
Yep.
Proud, good win, but interesting times ahead for Clemson. Last one here, Randy. Jimbo got caught flat-footed by Auburn last week.
He almost made a tackle.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah,
the impressive part. He was on the
Yeah,
field.
He was on the field during
And no
the
flag,
game.
no flag.
Not a
thrown.
thing. But if he tackled the guy, I would have walked in here with a whole new level of respect
Yeah.
for him. Just saying. I mean, go ahead. I mean, you're
While
already
you're
winning
there.
the game. Take him down.
That would have been awesome.
I don't think they got.
Yeah.
Flat-footed.
Flat-footed.
I mean,
All right.
no.
You know, a little pun intended
I
there.
got you. I got you.
I think so.
I don't think so either.
You don't think so? I do, as in honor of Michael Best. You know, he hates it when you throw in front of the chains on a first down. Like, I hate coaches on the field. I can't stand it. Kirby does one of those. Brent Venables of Oklahoma is one of the worst, where they have somebody to pull him back.
Yep.
Like, you're trying to teach young men how to control themselves.
Hey,
like, they're not going to listen to you more when you're 5 yards out on the field.
They do that even when Jeremy was helping Georgia Southern. His job was to
He was
keep.
the get back coach.
He had a thing to pull Coach Johnson back.
Yeah, I can't. That just bothers me to no end. Like, you know, it's like, hey, my players are really going to listen to me if I'm 5 yards out on the field. I mean, that drives me crazy. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, he almost paid for that one because of that guy. Missed him by about a foot.
Yeah,
He would have taken him out.
That would have been funny. It'd been funny if he would have just given him a
Pushed
little
him out of
tap.
bounds. Oops.
Give him a little tap anyway on the way out. But anyway, we never get caught flat-footed around here.
No.
So, Michael, we miss you. But good luck to everybody. Good luck. Go support what's good out there. Band, cheerleaders, young men turning into men. We want to see that. And anyway, we'll see you next week on the Press Box.